The fog rolled in thick that morning, swallowing the small coastal town in a blanket of gray. Emma tightened her scarf and stepped into the cold, damp air. Her shoes were already wet from the puddles that dotted the cracked sidewalk. She had grown used to it, the discomfort, the chill, the way each day seemed to begin with a battle against the elements and against herself. 2 years earlier, Emma had boarded a plane with a one-way ticket and a single suitcase. She left behind her childhood home, the familiar streets where everyone knew her name, and the language that flowed effortlessly from her lips. In its place, she stepped into a world where she was just another stranger, one more face in the endless tide of people trying to make it. Her first months were brutal. She worked 2 part-time jobs, cleaning hotel rooms during the day, stacking shelves at a grocery store at night. She didn't complain, but there were nights when exhaustion pressed on her chest like a weight she could not lift. She lived in a tiny rented room with peeling wallpaper and a single window that looked out onto an alley. The walls seemed to close in on her sometimes, and she would wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. The hardest part wasn't the work or the loneliness, it was the feeling of invisibility. Back home, she had been someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone who mattered. Here, she was just another foreign name on a timesheet. But Emma refused to let her story end there. Every night after her shifts, she would sit at a small wooden desk, the one piece of furniture she bought secondhand, and study English. Her textbooks were dog-eared and worn. She practiced pronunciation by reading news articles aloud, stumbling over words and starting again. It wasn't glamorous, and no one was watching, but it was progress. One particularly rough evening, after a long day of mopping hotel floors, she found herself standing on the pier, staring out at the dark ocean. She was cold, tired, and dangerously close to giving up. The waves crashed against the rocks, sending salt spray into her face. She thought about home, the warm kitchen where her mother would serve tea, the smell of fresh bread, and she cried. But then, through her tears, she whispered to herself, "Keep going." And she did. Over the next year, she applied for dozens of jobs, facing rejection after rejection. But each no only made her refine her skills. She learned how to craft a proper resume, how to introduce herself confidently in an interview, how to make her voice heard in a room full of strangers. Eventually, she landed a job at a small marketing agency. It wasn't her dream job, but it was a step forward. From there, things began to shift. She built friendships with colleagues. She started to laugh more, to dream bigger. She moved into a small apartment with sunlight streaming through the windows in the morning. She began to send a little money back home, not just to survive, but to help others. And one morning, as she walked to work under a sky painted with gold and pink, she realized something. The fog had lifted, not just in the weather, but in her life. She was no longer the girl who had arrived with nothing but a suitcase and trembling hope. She was stronger, braver, and more certain of her place in the world. Emma had not only survived, she had risen. And somewhere deep inside she knew, no matter what storms came next, she would always find her way to the light beyond the fog.